Oh. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badharayanam Sutrabhashya Krita Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram Om Partaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Graditam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshiniim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadyayiniim Ambatvam Anusandadhami Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshiniim Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutah Stunvanti Devyaistavaihi Vedai Sangapadakramopaniषदैः Gayanti Yam Samagaः Dhyanavastita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyantam na Vidusura Suraganah Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Hari Om. Bhagwan Sri Krishna has been talking about the Atma Swarupa, the nature of the self. That means he is talking about you and I only, what our true nature is. That nature of the self is different from the Anatma, the not self, which is the body-mind complex, body-mind intellect. And he has pointed out, and we have seen so far, that Atma is Nitya, eternal. Satya, it is the reality. Sarvagata, all-pervading. Aprameya, never an object of knowledge. Nirvikara, changeless, free from modifications. Akarta, abhokta, non-doer, non-enjoyer, experiencer. And so, just like a man casts off worn-out clothes and dons a new set, this Atma throws away the worn-out body and takes on a new one. That's all it does. Even though the Atma is so intimately associated with the body, the Atma does not get destroyed by anything. We saw that last class. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, na chainam kledayanti apaha, na shoshayati marutaha. Weapons don't cut it. Fire does not burn it. Water does not wet it. And air does not dry it. In other words, the Atma is not affected by anything. Therefore, Achedyoyam, Adakyoyam, Akledyoshasa, Eva Sarvacha, Nitya Sarvagatastanuhu, Achaloyam Sanatana. This self is eternal. It is all pervading, stable, immovable, and ancient. Then Bhagavan concluded by saying, Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchate tasmad evam viditvainam na anushochitum arhasi. Having known that the self is unmanifest, unthinkable, and unchangeable, and that I am, you should not grieve. And you should not shirk your duties and responsibility. So you should fight. Oh Arjuna, you should fight. And just suppose you do not accept this Vedantic teaching. Just in case that you cannot accept that this Atma, Atachainam Nityajatam Nityam va Manyase Mritam Tatapi Tvam Mahabaho Naivam Shochitum Arhasi. Even if you think this Atma is constantly born and dying, then also you should not grieve. Why? Because Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityuhu dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmat apariharya arte natvam shochitum arhasi. Because death is certain for the born. Something that is born has to die. And the dead will be born again. Therefore, for that inevitable, you should not grieve. So, these arguments have been made so far. And now, Shankaracharya gives the connection to the next verse. Neither is it proper to grieve over beings that are mere combinations of cause and effects. He says that in verse 28. Let us read 28. Avyaktadini bhutani dhyani bharata vyaktamadhyani bharata avyaktanidhananyeva tatra ka paridevana avyktadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharata avyaktanidhananyeva tatra ka paridevana. So Bhagavan in this verse explains the phenomenon of birth and death. What is birth? What is death? He's going to talk about it. This is a different discussion. This is not the clinical definition of birth and death. Okay? But when we understand this interpretation, when we understand what birth and death is, the sting, the impact of these two events in our life. These are two major events. And we will not get affected too much. If there is any hurt that happens, it will be reduced very much. To a great extent, the hurt can be reduced. Ignorance, not knowing all this, creates a lot of problems. Because of ignorance, we project. There is the fear of the unknown, they say. Ignorance is the dark room in which negativities are developed. So Arjuna, understand this phenomenon of birth and death properly, then you will be able to handle this very wisely. What is this understanding? Really speaking, there is no question of destruction of anything or creation of anything. A total destruction does not exist. And absolute creation is also not there. Complete destruction, not there. And altogether, absolutely something gets created, it's also not there. Even according to science. Science has this law of conservation of matter and energy. Nothing is created, nothing is destroyed. Even Bhagavan cannot create a nanogram of matter. Then where is the question of birth and death? It's just not there. Then what do you mean by birth and destruction? All that means is changing from one form to another form. That's all. From one angle, the change is called birth, and from another angle, it is called death. Yesterday's death resulted in today's birth. Yesterday is dead and gone. Today is alive right now. And today's death will yield tomorrow's birth. That's all. Past, present, and future. It's ongoing. When water is converted to steam by evaporation, it can be called the death of water and birth of steam. Similarly, this body is because of the destruction of a lot of pizzas, pastas, rotis, idlis, and dosas. So everything is changing. The prior condition is called unmanifest condition. The present condition is manifest condition. That's all. Unmanifest and then manifest. And then back to unmanifest. That's all. Therefore, Bhagavan says, Bhutani Avyaktadini. All the physical bodies, all bhutas, existed before. Before means before creation. And that means Pralaya Kale. Even before Big Bang, if you want to put it in scientific terms. Vedanta, we don't call Big Bang and all that. Even before creation, all physical bodies existed. But how? In what form? And not in this form that you and I are able to look at. It was a different form. It was in a potential form. You may call it potential energy if you want. It's not a good term, but if you want to think on those lines, because some of you are trained between energy and matter. Matter being tangible, energy being intangible, those kinds of ideas. can call it potential energy. In Vedanta, we call it Prakriti. Prakriti is the most rudimentary form of matter. But it is not even energy. Okay? So that's why I said, want to think of it as energy, it's okay, but it's not a good term. Reduce the energy to even a more fundamental form. That in Vedanta is called Prakriti. Otherwise called Avyakta. Avyakta, unmanifest. Another term that is used, Maya. So our bodies existed, but in unmanifest form. Now, in due course of time, all those unmanifest matter condense to form this physical body that is in a visible condition. It's no different from, you see a tree now, big, huge tree. But that tree was in an unmanifest form as a seed. The entire tree was there in the seed, in a potential form. You cannot see the tree in the seed because it is avyakta, unmanifest. Then it becomes manifest. And then you see the tree. So, vyakta madhyani, in between, for a few years, it is visible, manifest. One day, avyakta nidhani eva. Avyakta nidhani eva. Again, all these bodies will have to go back to the invisible avyakta. So, unmanifest to manifest. This change from unmanifest to manifest is called birth. And then the change from the manifest to unmanifest. That is called death. That's all. We just use two different words, but the same set of matter is there. Therefore, these bodies are unmanifest to begin with. They are in an unmanifest condition and they come to manifestation. What was I before I was born? What will I be after I die? I do not know. In between these two unknowns, there is a brief period of known. That is called life. Tatra ka paridevana. What is there to worry about that? Make use of this life to the fullest. Tatra ka paridevana. What is the use of worry? Ascharyavat pashyati kaschidenam. Ascharyavat pashyati kaschidenam. Ascharyavat padati tataiva chanyah. Ascharyavat padati tataiva chanyah. Ascharyavaschainamanya shrunoti. Ascharyavachainamanya shrunoti. Shrutvaapyenam vedana chaiva kaschit. Shrutvaapyenam vedana chaiva kaschit. Ascharyavat pashyati kaschidenam. Ascharyavat vadati tataiva chanyah. Ascharyavatchainamanya shrunoti. Shrutvaapyenam vedana chaiva kaschit. So Bhagavan says, hey Arjuna, if you are not able to understand this Atma, And even if you are not able to believe in this Atma, or you find it difficult to accept this Atma, I will not be surprised. So don't feel bad. This topic, this idea is so very subtle, extremely subtle. It requires a lot of preparation to understand this Atma. This Atma is a wonder, Ascharya. Atma Jnana is a great wonder. Great wonder. This reality is beyond the sense organs, beyond the mind, beyond all concepts. So teaching this itself is a great wonder. Indeed, we did not keep this teaching a secret, because even if you tell everyone, it will still remain a secret. No, they say this Vedanta and all that. You must see whether the person who receives all that is a deserving candidate. They know him. We said a secret. No, not necessary. Even if we tell everyone, it will still remain a secret. Why is this knowledge so subtle and secret? I'll just give you a hint. This is a secret teaching because all the time Bhagavan is talking about Atma, as even he describes, we will be thinking. He's talking about some object in the creation. When he says it is eternal, true, all-pervading, even as we listen to that, we start imagining, where is this thing? Where is this thing? Is it perhaps a space? How would it look? We try to form concepts after concepts. There are some people who have preconceived concept and they sit in meditation and struggle. One day they think, one day, that Atma will give me darshan. We should remember Atma is not an object. Not talking about an object. It is the very subject. Looking for the Atma as an object is a basic mistake. The problem is our parokshata buddhi. The objectification orientation that we have, that is the problem. You imagine some mysterious object, a mysterious experience is there, and seekers start looking for it. Some people say that in meditation I see a light, or I hear a peculiar sound, or I'm lifted up, and all that. All the time we expect something to happen. And something may happen. Whatever happens, that is not Atma. Be rest assured. And then, when you hear that and you negate everything, and you tend to think it is shunyam, it's nothing, blankness. So the teacher has a tough job. He has to negate everything and still convince the student that he's not talking about nothing, but something positive. And the student has to understand that. So it's a tall order. So in this verse, Sri Krishna talks about the glory of this knowledge, emphasizing the uniqueness of this knowledge. It's the greatest wonder in the world. Self-knowledge is the greatest ascharya in the universe. So what does Bhagavan mean by ascharya, wonder? Idea is this. Every human being, knowingly or unknowingly, looking for certain fundamental goals in life. Even though superficially the goals may look different. One may want to succeed in business, and there may be another person who has political ambitions. A third person may want to have a large family. An intellectual type. You want to research into some scientific truths. Like that. Apparently, there are differences in goals. But basically, goals are the same. They all want a sense of fulfillment in life. One may want it through a material knowledge, the other through job or politics. The differences lie in the means. Various people use various methods. But in and through all that, each one is seeking happiness, fulfillment in life. And another basic goal is a sense of discovery, of security. There's a constant sense of insecurity in everyone. When I do not have money, that's one type of insecurity. When I have a lot of money, there is another type of insecurity. Insecurity varies, type of insecurity varies, but it is constantly there. Discovery of security, discovery of happiness, fulfillment, etc. This is the basic goal of everything. According to Vedanta, all these basic goals are represented by one word, Atma or Brahman. In fact, Atma or Brahman is another word for fulfillment. It's another word for security. Everyone is seeking the same. Everyone is seeking only Atma. But if you go and ask anybody, are you seeking Atma? Huh? Huh? What did he say? I don't know what Atma is. I'm not looking for it. But if we ask them, do you want to be happy? You want to be fulfilled? Then that person will say, yes, yes, of course. Then we say, that is Atma. Similarly, security is Atma, peace is Atma. So Vedanta says, everyone, all are seeking Atma only. And the greatest wonder in that seeking, the goal that is the Atma, that is sought after by everyone, happens to be the very nature of the seeker. The goal that is being sought, be it peace, fulfillment, security, happiness, what have you, but that happens to be one's own self. So the greatest wonder is everyone is seeking himself or herself. Since they do not know that, he is always looking outside himself in search of himself. Ultimately, when he discovers the truth through Vedanta, that discovery becomes a great wonder. Becomes a great wonder. Even when Vedanta introduces Atma or Brahman, we think it is another source of joy. We think it is another type of toy. The teacher has to tell, never look for Atma, you will never come across Atma. Never look for Brahman, you will never come across Brahman. You are that Atma or Brahman. Brahman is not a new substance revealed by Vedanta. It's a new status that I discover about myself. Until I come to Vedanta, I've taken myself to be the insecure, unhappy, unfulfilled, miserable jiva or miserable person. Vedanta removes such misconceptions. And what it teaches is, I now have a new status. That I am secure, I am happy, I am fulfilled. Aham Brahma Asmi is the recognition of the fact about myself. Until now, I thought I was small. Until now, I thought I was insecure. And now I know I am the security. Until now, I was looking for fulfillment. Now I know fullness is my nature. It's simply dropping a misconception, but that has far-reaching implications, consequences. Therefore, self-knowledge is the greatest wonder. Whatever I seek, that I am. So Bhagavan says, Pashyati. So someone sees this fact as a great wonder. Because he wonders, how I missed this fact all along? Huh? As a student, I thought I'll be happy when I finish my studies. Then I can go get a job. Then when I get a job, get settled in that, I'll get married. Then I'll be happy. Then I'll have a family. And I will have all these members of the family to make me happy. When I got to that stage, I thought I will be happy if I retired. Get done with all these family obligations. Then I would devote more time to study the scriptures. Now I find the scriptures tell me that I am that happiness I've been seeking for 60 plus years. No wonder this is a great wonder. Ascharyavat vadati tataiva cha anyah. Another person reveals this fact as a great wonder. Ascharyavat cha enam anyah shrunoti. The one who listens, he is also wonderstruck. So listening to this is a wonder, speaking about this is wonder, able to see this is a wonder. In the field of self-knowledge, everything is a wonder. Bhagwan has borrowed this idea from Kathopanishad. Same idea is given there. The Guru, the teacher of this self-knowledge, is a wonder. The disciple who receives the knowledge is a wonder. Among all these wonders is that even listening to this for such a long time, some people still don't get it. That is the greatest wonder. All the time the scriptures are talking about myself, which is ever evident. Conscious principle. So teacher is a wonder. Knower is a wonder. Non-knower is a wonder. Shrutva api enam, even after listening for many years. Kaschit naiva veda. Some people will never understand. As I said, the problem is the objectification. Tend to objectify everything. We want to see the Atma as an object. So I keep on looking for it outside. And sometimes when you read here and there, that Atma is inside you. Then I start looking inside. Where is it? Looking for it in all the wrong places. The Atma is neither outside nor inside. It is me. That is why this knowledge is such a wonder. So after glorifying this knowledge, Bhagwan, this self-knowledge, the next verse, summarizing what he has said until now. Verse 30. Dehi nityamavadhyoyam. Dehi nityamavadhyoyam. Dehe sarvasya bharata. Dehe sarvasya bharata. Tasmat sarvani bhutani. Tasmat sarvani natvam shochitumarhasi. Natvam shochitumarhasi. Dehi nityamavadhyoyam. Dehe sarvasya bharata. Tasmat sarvani bhutani natvam shochitumarhasi. So the first lesson is the body is mortal. The body is mortal. It is subject to all modifications. It is subject to old age, disease, and death. We do have power over these things to some extent. Some extent, yes. But we cannot conquer these three things completely. Old age is inevitable. Disease is inevitable. And death certainly is inevitable. Once we are born here, we should be ready to accept this fact. The most unfortunate thing is we do not know when death is. When the death is going to come. Do not know. When Raja Parikshit got the curse that he will die in 7 days. Some people may think it's terrible. Poor fellow, he just has 7 days to live. But he said, I'm very happy. Huh? He said, I'm happy. Why? I know I will live for 7 days. That is guaranteed. For us, there is no guarantee like that. Rest of the people, there is no guarantee. Death can occur anytime. So the best thing is be ready to welcome death. This mental acceptance of physical mortality is the first lesson. Next, behind the mortal body is a real I. The real I is behind this body. This mortal body is only a superficial I. The real I that is behind the mortal body, that is called Dehi, the indweller, the embodied. Body is mortal, the embodied is eternal. And we have to extend this to Bhishma and Drona and others. Once you are mentally prepared, their death will not shock you. Certainly, death disturbs the mind. After all, we are all human beings. Death is a tragic event. No question about it. It will disturb us for a little while. But I'll bounce back knowing that it is part of life and I will continue my journey. Greatest advantage is nothing will shock me. So, Arjuna, you assimilate this wisdom. He says, I am Dehi, Nityam Avadyah. I am Dehi, this Atma that has been discussed in the earlier verses. This consciousness is Nityam Avadyah, ever immortal. It's ever indestructible. It resides Sarvasya Dehe in all bodies. This permanent Atma, indestructible Atma, is encased, enclosed in a perishable body. Hey Bharata, O Arjuna, is embodied in all. Having understood this fact, extend this with regard to Bhishma, Drona, and others. That's all you have to do. So you've been crying about Bhishma and Drona. I will kill them. They'll be gone. That is disturbing you. Fact is that bodies will be gone. No question about it. And it will eventually go anyway. So, and understand this fact and extend this with regard to Bhishma and Drona to others. Our problem is that we are ready to accept mortality as long as it takes place elsewhere, to somebody that we do not know, to those who are not near and dear to us. What really needs to be done is that this law should be extended to everyone, including the near and dear ones, and of course to ourselves. So Bhagavan says, Tvam sarvani bhutani na shochitum arhasi. You should never grieve over any living being. Never grieve over the death of any living being, over old age, anybody. Of course, you help. Whatever help you can extend to others, who are suffering? Yes. You can also extend your life. All that. Give all the help to keep them healthy and comfortable. If in spite of all the best efforts, even when death comes, accept it as a fact of life. Never grieve. Grief is not going to change a fact. When you look at the whole situation from the standpoint of the absolute truth, your position is not tenable or proper. All the wailing that you did in the first chapter, that's not proper. This shokha, moha, grief and delusion, totally unwarranted. There's no place for it. Not only from the absolute point of Atma, but from the relative standpoint of the nature of the body also. The anatma you are grieving, you're grieving and taking the decision not to fight is improper. Sri Krishna teaches us how to look at particular situation from all standpoints, not just one. So after going through the philosophical arguments, now he will approach the situation from ethical angle, starting in the next verse. With the 30th verse, Bhagwan concluded the discussion of Atma Jnanam. Sri Krishna has given this as a medicine to Arjuna's sorrow and his delusion. His delusion, confusion was whether he should fight the war or run away. That confusion must go. Arjuna must be ready to fight. Misplaced ahimsa is as bad as misplaced himsa. In the name of non-violence, Arjuna should not withdraw from the path. When the non-violent methods have failed, for the sake of law and order, for the sake of dharma, a kshatriya must be ready. For this only, Bhagwan is approaching the situation from three different standpoints. The first standpoint was philosophical. In Sanskritam, it is called Adhyatmika Drishti. The second standpoint is the ethical standpoint, and that is the Dharmika Drishti. And the third standpoint is the empirical or the worldly standpoint. That's the Laukika Drishti. So with the 30th verse, the philosophical discussion is completed. If Arjuna had understood the teaching so far, nothing further is needed really. Unfortunately, Arjuna and many people find it difficult to grasp this philosophy. It needs some amount of maturity. If that maturity is not there, Vedanta can easily be misrepresented. Real Vedanta is never contrary to Dharma. So Bhagwan wants to come to the Dharma level and show that it is also consistent with the philosophy. Consistent from Dharmic angle also, fighting this war is proper. Bhishma and Drona should be killed, not because the body is martyr. No, that is not a license to kill. They are in the Adharmika group. By themselves, Bhishma and Drona may be great. Unfortunately, they have joined the unrighteous group. So from the ethical angle, Whether you know philosophy or not, you have to fight this war. So the ethical arguments, the dharmika arguments will begin from the next verse, verse 31, and that we will take up in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.